Hi, this is Adam
All right,
Eliyahu
thank you.
Berkowitz, features article writer for for Israel 365 News, formerly Breaking Israel News. I'm here with Rabbi Harry Moskoff, author of the A.R.K report. He's an investigative archaeologist, a speaker, a producer of movies. I'm here to speak about an upcoming series that he's going to produce. And this series, if
Rabbi
it's,
too.
I said Rabbi, I
On top of that,
said, and that's a major part because his major expertise is something that is not only relevant now, it's going to become hugely relevant in the very near future. He is the expert on finding the Ark of the Covenant. He knows the inside track and where it should be. So if I can, um, so first of all, Rabbi Moskoff, um, why should I believe you about the Ark of the Covenant? There are a lot of people out there claiming to know where the Ark is. I think there's one they said it's in Ethiopia. So why should I believe you?
right. Well, I did a television. Yeah, it's a good question. I think that there are only a couple people like myself actually that are actually coming from a strictly a Jewish Orthodox Torah perspective, and that's the basis that I wrote my book, the A.R.K report. I don't think there's anyone else coming from that perspective that really in depth from an ancient Jewish scriptural text perspective. So I bring Talmud and Torah and archaeology, obviously, to the topography of the Temple Mount, all of my experience in terms of investigative archaeology and production as well to the table. So with all of that, and the fact that I was so passionate about it, and I myself am a priest, descended from, besides all the whole rabbinical thing, but descending all the way back from the Second Temple, almost 2,000 years ago.
So
So all of this sort of is added up as research to where the Ark is, and doing History Channel episodes and
so you're saying that
CBS News, all
there
these
is a
different.
rabbinic literary Jewish literature sources that indicate where the Ark should be or might be?
Absolutely,
Really?
100%. I mean, just like anywhere else, there's two Jews and three opinions, in the Talmud and elsewhere. But I compile all that evidence, and the various theories that are out there, and I say yes, this is according to my theory. This is where the Ark lies, which is underneath the Temple Mount. Not exactly where the Dome of the Rock is, but a little bit to the southwest. And I explain exactly why it's there, the secrets of the Lost Ark, secrets of how it got there, its travels, what it could do, what it can't do. It's absolutely fascinating how it recharges itself and acts like a supercapacitor in a way. These types of things have fascinated me, and so I actually found the sources, the references, the sources for that. Yeah, thanks, Eliyahu.
There's a saying, hidden in plain sight. And
Right.
sometimes you get the impression, oh, all this stuff is lost. You can see it in Raiders of the Lost Ark. You can see it in Hollywood. But the real thing, oh, that's so lost, we'll never find it. And here you're telling me we have the sources. It's astounding. It's astounding.
Right. Not only do we have the sources, but we know where the tunnels are that lead there. One of them is through Warren's Gate. There's another one that goes all the way from. There's a tunnel that goes all the way to Qumran that was used by Tzidkiyahu, the last king of Judah, in his escape. And some of the temple vessels went that way as well, which I have in my book. There are a bunch of different tunnels, number 1 and number 3, underneath the Dome of the Rock, where there's the carpet. We were talking last time.
Yeah, we were talking last time because there was a tunnel that just opened up because a truck ran over it at a Muslim truck. They were doing illegal construction up there. A tunnel opened up, and they filled it up with concrete, but you could see that there
Right.
was a lot more underneath there. And this is stuff that one way or the other, it's gonna come to light. We just can't hide it anymore. So
That's right. That's right. It's coming to light. And, one of my colleagues, well, a friend of mine, and going all the way up to the U.S. administration, of the ambassador, David Friedman, he's actually a big fan of biblical archaeology. And I gave him a copy of my book, and he's very much on side, along with, of course, the whole Trump administration. 2 more weeks.
God willing.
We'll see what happens.
You know, everyone compares. Everyone compares Donald Trump to Cyrus, but Cyrus would have been just another guy if it weren't for the fact that he really paved the way for the Second Temple. And Donald Trump, all the wonderful things and amazing things he did for Israel and for Jerusalem, well, it's not going to count until the final stroke, the final nail goes in and completes what he really has to do, which is bringing the Third Temple. Then we can talk about it.
That's one of the reasons I really believe, without revealing too much now. Well, maybe we'll do a follow-up. We'll see the TV special coming up, Secrets of the Lost Ark. But bottom line is that I really believe that the Trump administration would be and is very behind not only what I do, but in general, biblical archaeology in Israel, proving the Jewish connection, to ancient Jerusalem and the other parts of Israel, and my own work and my own findings to that end.
I would take that one step further and say that is why he's succeeding. That was his whole purpose of coming into office. And one of the things I'd like to point out is, we touched on this, there's so much disinformation. There are a lot of people who claim to know, a lot of people, and this is not biblical commentary. This is not fantasy. We're talking here about real boots on the ground archaeology, things where, and I've been writing stories about this for 6 years. I've had people tell me, "Oh, I'm head of the Red Heifer Project." Meanwhile, the Red Heifer is actually a couple miles from my house. That's where they're raising it. I've heard people say things about, I remember Anna-Rena Heyman, she used to tell me that people would come every day to the city of David saying, "Where's the remains of the temple?" They're nowhere near there. They're on the Temple Mount. There's so much disinformation, and it's absolutely horrifying.
One thing that she has to cope with, she has to deal with, Anna-Rena, and also the other people over there at City of David, good people. I think that these days, like you said, Eliyahu, and you're doing a great favor with Israel 365 News to all of us by pointing out where the truth is, and that's also what I'm doing together so the people can know. They have to actually take the scriptures that are given to them and put it into context. Don't just take it at face value and believe, exactly what's handed out. Take a good book that has sources. My book, the Torah, obviously, the proper English Hebrew Bible. Rabbi Tully Weiss, he did a good example of that. He put one out, and find out exactly where these things are, what makes I would say. I'm
really looking forward to
the way it is.
I'm really looking forward to the video. I just want to show. This is on my desk, the A.R.K report. This is Rabbi Harry Moskoff's book. I'm telling you that if you want to know anything about the A.R.K, about its history, and about the possibilities of where it is, if you haven't read the A.R.K report, then you haven't really done the research. Okay, you can come to your own conclusions. Until the A.R.K is actually found, no one knows. But if you haven't considered this, and if you haven't learned this, then you really haven't learned the subject. And that's the main thing, is the solid sources have to be considered, and this is the solid source. That's so important to me to get that message out there. Okay. Also,
there's a bunch of things that also that I try to get out, and then I'll bring out, considering about sources, etc., where the A.R.K traveled. The A.R.K was 2 tons. right? The sapphire stones that Moses carried, they were heavy. Just to be practical about it, the covering of the ark, right, with the cherubim, the cherubim, the whole ark cover, as they say, the mercy seat, it was one solid block of gold, right? The kaporet, it's called. It weighed a ton. It weighed 2 tons. The ark. Who's going to carry that? Who can carry that? It levitated. You couldn't measure it. It was something that was so powerful and so godly. So some of these things I write about and how it acted as a supercapacitor sitting on the foundation stone, which is a vortex. There are 3 vortex points on the earth, the Giza pyramids and the Temple Mount, other places like Machu Picchu actually in Peru. So it's fascinating. The whole thing about the Ark, whether you consider it like a supercapacitor, which I also wrote in my book, like the physical properties of it, how these holy sparks, Chashmal in Hebrew, like a type of almost electricity, would come out and level mountains and scorpions, etc. Raiders of the Lost Ark had put it out into pop culture, but it got that right. I don't know if it melted people's faces.
Well, another thing you're touching on is that what we're dealing here with Torah concepts, but Israel, even modern Israel, is the connecting point between heaven and earth. And these concepts that we read about in the Bible are not just biblical concepts. When you pick up a shovel and start digging anywhere in Israel, you're going to start running into biblical stuff. Anywhere you walk, it has a biblical significance.
Right.
And archaeology is not just archaeology. Archaeology is half archaeology and half Bible. And there actually is a big conflict going on where people are trying to deny the biblical side of the archaeology in Israel. And that's why I very much appreciate what you're doing, is you're bringing the Bible back into the actual the physicality and the archaeology of Israel. And this is also important. It's not just relevant for archaeologists. Yeah, it's not just archaeologists. This is, if you're studying the Bible, it's not a concept. The Ark, the Aron Brit, the Ark of the Covenant, is not a concept. It's a real thing with properties. It looks a certain way, and God willing, one day we'll be not us, but we don't want to touch it because we know what happens if you do. But we do want to.
We can look at it.
We can look at it. We can put it back in its proper place and use it for its proper purpose, God willing. And I think one of the reasons
that'll be a great day. It'll be a great day, and I hope that my work could lead to it. I really do.
God willing.
It has incredible properties, obviously, and levitate. And, there's certain things that'll bring godliness back, really back into. It's like a magnet for Hashem, for God.
God willing.
Bring it back into the world, and that should happen soon. We're seeing some of that. We're seeing all of the signs coming right now.
Absolutely. That's another thing. It's going to be relevant very soon. 2 weeks. I think I was speaking to a rabbi. I'm one of the beautiful things about my job is I get to speak to people who are very tuned into what's happening in the spiritual world. And I was speaking to a rabbi, and I said, and so many rabbis say this, that we've seen signs. We've seen reenactments of the plagues. We've seen all kinds of signs, but this coronavirus is the first time in I don't know how long that we've seen something global, something that's touched every single person in the world. And it's affecting everything. It's affecting politics. It's affecting medicine. It's affecting everything from A to Z. And when something like that happens, you better get ready. Big things can follow, or big things should follow. So I think that this is very timely that we're getting ready for revelations about the Ark of the Covenant.
Absolutely, and it's all sort of setting up this scenario, as hard as it might be, and it's a tough time to adapt to. But it says that, for instance, I'll give you an example. Says in the Torah that prophecy will return to the world in the times of the Messiah, before even the Messiah, which would be right now. The prophecy, and we did that conference, Prophecy in the News, where I said that I found that the Ark itself, the Ark of the Covenant, is a medium, acts as a medium for prophecy, just like it did with Moses sitting in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, and the clouds of glory would be on top of the Holy of Holies, and then Moses would receive his prophecy through the Ark, the wings of the angels on the Ark, and then through that, throughout history, all of the prophets through the first temple period, and even part of the second temple period when the Ark was hidden off-site, I call it, underground, directly underneath the Holy of Holies. So even then, the Ark was acting not as much as before, as it was when it's revealed state, on top in the Holy of Holies in the temple, but it still acts as a conductor, as it will, as a medium for prophecy in this world. And as we get closer and closer, as it's coming more to the surface, and my work and others like me, other archaeologists and investigators, etc., journalists, come out with more and more, like yourself. So then it helps to bring on all of this new age. So we're seeing that.
I'm becoming mainstream. A lot of people are doing what I used to be the only one on the hill screaming out, the end is near, and now everyone's saying it because it looks that way. So it's like that. I don't want to give away too much. I highly recommend the ARK report. As I said, if you have any interest in the Ark of the Covenant, you really, if you don't have this book, you haven't really learned anything about the Ark. And I'll be posting below all the information about your upcoming video special, which I'm really looking forward to.
TV project.
The what? I'm sorry? What did you call it?
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, Eliyahu. It's great to be on your show as usual. You're awesome, and
great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rabbi Moskoff. And God willing, as soon as your special comes out, it'll become practically relevant. Thank you so much. This is Eliyahu Berkowitz speaking to Rabbi Harry Moskoff.
Thank you.